From the Homestead Studios in Santa Clarita, California, it's just the Tip-Sters with Melissa Morgan.
Look who it is.
Serving up a freshly roasted MURDERTIZER featuring Tip-Sters 2 cents, questions and suggestions from our listeners. Remember, if you've got a tip for Melissa on a case you'd like to know more about, call the Tip-Ster hotline at 832-TIPSTER. That's 832-847-7837. Or send an email to jttipsters@gmail.com. You just might hear your tip on the podcast. And now here's your host. Sure, she borrows trouble, but she always pays it back. Melissa Morgan.
More cowbell. Yeah, I'm pretty good at paying it back. Sure, I borrow a lot of trouble, but I pay it back with interest. With interest.
That's good, because you don't want to incur those late fees on
I do not.
Borrowed trouble.
I do not. I think that would just be more than I can handle.
And the collection agencies they use, man.
Yeah, they'll hunt you down. You'll be walking down the street and a payphone will ring. And
Yes.
You're like, hello? And they're like, Melissa, return the trouble you borrowed.
I wonder how many of our listeners out there even know what a payphone is or was.
Yeah, I forgot. It's all a bunch of young people and we're really old. I'm glad you know my references. I feel somewhat less alone in the world with you, Grandpa.
Thanks.
Before we get into the Tip-Sters 2 cents in this wonderful MURDERTIZER episode, I do have to continue what I guess, I don't know when it's actually, it'll probably air after this, but we were discussing the cleansing of your colon. So now we're going to discuss the voiding of your bladder.
Yeah, that's coming up. Not
Right,
okay.
right. So today we were in your doctor's office, and I actually, do you remember how it got started?
I can't believe you're doing this.
How did it get started? All I know is
he said my doctor complimented me because I was wearing a white shirt today, a white shirt and tie.
Yeah,
and I
that's
said, sometimes you got to pee around the perimeter at work,
Right,
just a little
right.
bit to, yeah.
Right. Your 4 or 5 white dress shirts I hate with a white hot passion because I think everyone just looks like a creepy banker.
But they project a certain,
I love all of the shirts that you have of multicolors that I have. I don't mean like a bunch of crazy stripes. I mean like a pink one and a purple one and a blue one and a red one. All of your shirts that are solid of color, because I bought them for you and because they're so much more interesting. And I believe you told me that many of the chicks at work told you that they love a man who wears color, who isn't afraid of color.
Yeah, yes, they're very. I like those shirts too. I love those shirts.
And my favorite part is that you are colorblind, and half the ones you go, "Is this blue?" I'm like, "Yes," and it's purple, and you have no idea. But so anyway, you and this esteemed surgeon are discussing peeing in the backyard, and he said when he takes his I was kidding and said Mark pees around our property all the time to keep away animals or strange men. And this amazing surgeon said, "Oh yeah, when I take the dog out to pee, I pee too." He's a grown ass man. And I asked him if he had a very high fence, because it's not like we live where you get 40 acres and a mule. We're next to each other, and he is out peeing in his backyard.
Yes, that's what he said.
And then at dinner, I, lovingly said to my husband, who's right there in the next room, producer Mark, and said, "Oh my God, I almost shit my pants when Dr. Franson said he pees in his backyard." And Mark said, "Well, I've peed in the backyard."
Yes, I did.
And then my jaw dropped past the dinner table onto the floor.
See, you're a girl. And
as far as I know,
I'm going to tell you that most men who are listening to this from time to time have peed in their backyard. Now, I am not an exhibitionist. It was it was, I've done it when it's dark. I'm out watering the plants. The dogs are out there.
Watering the plants with your urine?
No.
And then you wonder why our grass doesn't grow?
I don't do it on the grass.
Okay.
I do it
Where do you
behind
do
the
it?
bushes where, our girl dog is being.
We're done.
Or,
I'm not discussing this
it's
anymore.
not that weird.
You have crushed my expectations of you, and I am horrified. And just to even the playing field, one day when you're sleeping, I'm going to shit in my hand and throw it at you.
That is not the same.
I don't know how it's different.
It's very different.
Okay.
And
we'll see.
Welcome to the real world, darling.
Or I'll pee in a cup and throw it on you like inmates
that
do.
Would not be good either.
Okay. All right. So anyway, let's get to this Tip-Sters 2 cents. We are getting some fantastic emails, and I am really grateful for those of you who write in. Mark is very sad that the Tip-Ster hotline isn't just, on fire with calls, but I did get a threat from one wonderful Tip-Ster who said she was going to call and leave a message with an extended passing of gas. And
she did not.
Yes, she did. I'll show you the email that she sent backing up what she was going to do, and I laughed until I heard myself. So anyway, Tip-Sters 2 cents. A wonderful Tip-Ster listener, Amber from Sacramento, was mentioning the Y cut or Y incision that's used during autopsies, and I tossed it out in episode 33, having nothing to do with anything, completely apropos of nothing to do with that episode. But I think I was just, how I talk in my head with several of my personalities at one time are talking, and sometimes they say things and no one knows what I'm talking about. But Amber asked me an extremely legitimate question and got me thinking. So I had always thought the Y cut in the body, you've probably seen it on 8,000 or 9,000 CSI episodes, just, whatever. I thought they started at the groin and went up. But au contraire, Melissa, it actually can start at the top, like Tip-Ster Amber thought, or it can start in the middle and go up and then go down. And it really only goes, like south of the sternum. It doesn't go all like, I'm like, just cut them right up the middle. Just start at the groin and go right up. Just like if it's a girl, it's just like an extended vagina that goes to, her breastbone. But the reason that that it's it can go in different directions at different times, a myriad of reasons. One would be if there is any sort of damage or trauma or wound in the chest, would typically start at the bottom and then go up and then separate off to either side, to either shoulder from the chest area. If it's, if they're worried about someone maybe having been strangled, they would start, a little lower down to do the Y cut and preserve anything around the neck so that they could, test for evidence or damage. It's really fascinating. So they create like a flap, a one flap that goes up and two flaps that go to the side. And the whole point is so they can then, open the ribs, crack the sternum, whatever, remove organs, to weigh them to see if there's any, potential damage to the organs inside. I read one thing online that said the Y cut is so that there's a minimum amount of skin that has to be folded back, because it makes sense. If you just cut someone right up the middle and fold two large flaps back, that's a lot more, damage. With the Y cut, it's a smaller opening, and you can, probably suture it back together quickly. A hilarious person said they thought the Y at the top, the two parts that go off to either side, was so that the coroner or whoever was doing an autopsy could flap the large piece of skin over the corpse's face so they didn't have to get stared at.
Oh,
that's hilarious.
You're getting me back for the pee thing, aren't you?
I thought you would love this conversation.
I just think, ooh, skin over the, ooh.
It's then put back. Don't be goofy. But my absolute favorite suggestion was from a man who said that he felt like the Y cut was so, instead of straight up the middle, going off to either side to toward the shoulders, was so that a woman could wear a V-neck dress in her casket.
Oh,
my favorite.
That's kind of sweet.
That's my favorite because, it's very, very important what you wear when you're dead.
It just shows he's probably a very attentive husband or
he's
whatever.
He's a sweet, sweet man, or he's just, crazier than a shithouse rat. But either way, I am madly in love with him and his weird, it's important to wear a V-neck dress when you're dead. Because, you want to show off the girls when you're dead.
Sure, maybe a nice little pearl necklace
and
to enhance it.
Wait, is that a dirty joke?
No.
Oh,
my
sorry.
God.
Sorry.
Okay.
I didn't know where you were going. Look, you piss in the backyard. I don't know what you do to dead people. It's literally between you and God. I have no idea. I hope you don't leave pearl necklaces on a bunch of dead women wearing V-neck dresses, but that I don't want to know if you do.
I did not say a string of pearls.
It's called a pearl necklace. The ZZ Top song is about.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I've heard. I don't know. I am not like you and your weird brethren. I don't know a lot of dirty jokes. Yes. Okay. So the next wonderful email is from the beautiful Tibet in Texas, who had a really brilliant theory about episode number 13 about Gary DeVore, the screenwriter who was found a year after he disappeared upside down in the California aqueduct, minus his computer, his gun, and his hands. And I had always thought, I had always thought nothing because I don't think anything. Even though there are many people in my head, they don't think a lot. They just talk a lot amongst themselves and sometimes out loud. I'm a little dense and horribly naive. Now, I have a friend from high school who was a Navy SEAL who, when I called him, because and not because I thought he would know the answer to this, but because he had been in Panama during the Noriega regime. And I said, so a screenwriter was found, minus his hands, and the laptop with the screenplay about why the U.S. government may have, invaded Panama and having nothing to do with getting Noriega out of power, but potentially because Noriega had some tapes reminiscent of the current administration being worried about urinating on hookers. In the 80s, the CIA could have been worried that Noriega had filmed their parties with, they were called a honey trap. So he trapped them with honeys, prostitutes, and large mountains of cocaine, and then apparently filmed them. And they were, this is, just a theory. Anyway, Larry said, the first thing I said was, this guy was found without his hands, and he said, well, that's some Russian mafia shit right there. I'm like, Russian mafia? Why in the hell would they? But apparently the Russian mafia was pretty involved in Panama and in Noriega's regime. Hey, it all comes back to Russia. This is not a political podcast. Anyway, so that was his first thought. And then when I had a little procedure done on a nodule in my, ironically, in my middle finger, so I could not straighten my middle finger. And it's difficult to flip off people with a curved finger. It looks like you're saying, come here. So I needed my middle finger to be able to be straightened again. And the wonderful orthopedic surgeon who injected, whatever into my nodule in my hand, I said, hey, do you want to hear a fascinating story about hands? You're obviously into hands. You went to school for a long time to specialize in them. And he, is on those little rolling chairs that doctors are on, and he rolls right over to me. He's like, tell me more, Blanche. And I was like, well, this screenwriter was found without his hands. And before I could even finish, he goes, well, that sounds like the, mafia. That's like a mafia signal. And I was like, okay, everyone knows this but me. Navy SEALs, doctors, everyone. I'm just like, duh, just sitting here like a dummy. So I had no idea that was a commonplace thing. I think actually, producer Mark, you thought that too, didn't you?
I kind of thought that.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
Everyone else should have a podcast but me, because I should just go sit in the corner because I'm stupid. But Tip-Ster Tibet is brilliant and said not only did she wonder if it was to send a message. She wondered if whoever, potentially, let's say Gary DeVore, didn't die of natural causes because his gun, his computer, and his hands are missing. And I don't know that he would have removed all those and then driven into the canal. He couldn't drive because his hands would have been gone. Anyway, so let's just say he was, assassinated. Tipster Tibet felt that perhaps the hands were removed as a proof of death. I had not thought of that, and I think that's brilliant. That's
very smart.
I thought it was brilliant. Whoever potentially ordered Gary DeVore's death, if that is a possibility, maybe wanted proof.
Yeah, that is entirely possible.
I thought it was brilliant. Yeah. So we have much more intelligent listeners than we have people who host this podcast.
Now, come on. You're very smart.
Go on.
You're brilliant.
No, I wouldn't go that far. But I was I'm thrilled with the caliber of emails that we're getting. And they're not like, hey, you know what? You're stupid. You got it wrong. They're like, do you think maybe? I think it's so sweet and kind that the tipsters are writing in lovely, nice suggestions, questions. And this is going to be called the Tipsters 2 Cents. We're going to do this when we can. So, some thank yous and some... I think you're gonna like part of this, producer Mark. So the thank yous, Tipster Brianna, and I do not know where she is from in the world, but Tipster Brianna wrote a beautiful email and said that we make her laugh and cry, and I can't think of anything better on earth than laughing and crying, because I do that pretty much every podcast, hopefully laughing more than crying, but it's hard for me to make it through one without crying. And it just, her email meant the world. And tipster Jennifer from Reseda, California, sent us 2 amazing stemless wine glasses with a beautiful iridescent lettering on the outside of the glasses that say #HotForHoles. Now, that is possibly one of the best gifts anyone has ever given me in my long, long life. And I love them with all my heart. And I just assumed everyone would know that is the hashtag for Detective Paul Holes, the former Contra Costa County detective who was largely responsible toward the end of the Golden State Killer's reign, to solve the case by creating a fake profile, putting his DNA in a more public forum than Ancestry.com or 23andMe, but in GEDmatch. And they narrowed it down to Joseph James D'Angelo because of, partially, I know it takes a village, and many, many men and women worked for decades on this case, but Detective Holes kind of hit the home run with the bases loaded. Kind of just, relied on modern technology and just fucking got it done, man. He swept the bases. So I love having glasses that say #HotForHoles. I love it. And got a text from my friend Erica, who saw the post on Instagram that I put of the glasses. It asked me if it had to do with my aversion for anal sex.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I can't. So
I'm calling an Uber.
Okay,
Here we go.
You should leave. It's most of the tipsters are not aware of what is on my butt.
I have a feeling they're about to.
They're about to find out. I should, now that times have changed, add a hashtag to it. Many, many years ago, when producer Mark and I were engaged, I had threatened numerous times to get a tattoo above my butt that said exit only. It was just a little funny joke between us. And quite frankly, when you're in your 30s or early 30s and you're, dating this wonderful guy and you're thinking, this is getting, very, very serious. And the only 2 people who are going to see my butt from now on for the rest of my life is this wonderful guy I'm going to marry and, the coroner when I die. And no, tipsters. Low-rise pants came into vogue. Massage therapist, acupuncturist, doctors. a lot of people see your butt. I no longer demonstrate downward facing dog in yoga class unless my butt is facing a wall, as I got tired of yogis snickering when they noticed that in purple ink and script above my butt crack, it said exit only. So
it's a very nice script, by the way.
It is. And ironically, the font, horrifyingly so, is called Princess Di. It was Princess Diana script. Yeah.
That's horrifying.
It is horrifying. I remember that, picking it out. We were in 29 Palms, California, which is near Palm Springs, Palm Desert. And it is a military base. And you can't, swing a dead cat without hitting a tattoo place. And we were spending a wonderful weekend there. And I was like, I'm going to get exit only tattooed above my butt. And Mark's like, okay, let's go. And I was like, huh? So we show up, and sweetest guy in the world. He's like, okay, that's really funny. I'm going to do that.
We should point out that 29 Palms is right where a big Marine base is.
Right. I said it's a military base.
Right. And so they've got tattoo parlors all over town. We just happened to find a really good one.
Yeah. I said the part about swinging a dead cat. Are you not listening anymore to the podcast?
That's right. You did say the
I
swinging the dead cat part.
I did cover that part. Yeah, a lot of tattoo parlors in 29 Palms because it's military. I'm going to go on now with the podcast I'm trying to do. So we found a really sweet kid who owned and managed his own tattoo place, and he was like, "That's really funny. I'm going to do that." And I was like, "Oh, and do you take credit cards?" "No, it's cash only." "Oh," and I'm trying anything I can think of to get out of this. Anything I can think of. And I'm like, "Oh, how much is it?" And he's like, $60. I'm like, "Oh, darn, I only have 45. And Mark's like, "I got a 20. I'm like, shit.
So we covered the cost and the tip.
Yeah. No, I'm sure I tipped him more. But anyway, so I have exit only tattooed above my butthole. And I like to say it's because producer Mark is better with written instructions. And one gets tired of yelling, no, over their shoulder. So anyway.
You really aren't that big on boundaries, are you, baby?
I'm very big on boundaries.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that I thought Erica was hilarious when she thought hashtag hot for holes had something to do with my dislike for having anything inserted in my butt. And I will also tell you that when I went for my first colonoscopy, which I'd been dreading for so long and didn't want to go, and I delayed it for almost a year after when you should go, I went to an amazing gastroenterologist who I adore, and you go for a consultation first, and then they set up the colonoscopy. And he said, okay, so here's what's going to happen. You'll drink this, and then you'll do this, and then we'll, and I was like, all right, number one, I want propofol. I don't want the twilight. I don't want to know what you're doing. I don't want to be aware. I want to wake up like you roofied me at a fucking college frat party and I know nothing. I don't want to know a thing. Number two, I have a tattoo above my butt that says exit only. It's for a reason. Number three, I think you're nuts. I have no idea why you would specialize in this as a doctor. Why would you pick buttholes to work on? Number four, are your parents proud? Are they proud that you spend your day with the camera crew looking at people's bungholes?
You said that?
I did. And he laughed his ass. He is the opposite of what you would think a gastroenterologist would be. He's young, he's huge, and he's Japanese. And he's not like sumo wrestler huge, but like 6'2" and big broad shoulders.
He's a linebacker. Looks like a linebacker.
Yes, he does. He looks like that's a great description. Big Japanese linebacker, glasses, just adorable, great sense of humor. And he said, so is there anything else you need to tell me, when he got done laughing at all the things I accused him of? And I said, yes. When I eat a lot of beets, which I do, it looks like I'm dying of stage 7 colon cancer and my poop is pink. And he started laughing. He goes, oh yeah, same thing happens when I eat flaming Cheetos. And I thought, you, sir, have won my heart. A gastroenterologist that eats flaming Cheetos and has pink poop. I can't think of anything better than that.
Hard to imagine.
It is hard to imagine. So I guess we've covered it all. Love, hashtags, 2 cents, peeing in the yard.
And can I get a plug in here for the hotline again? Because we really would love to get some phone calls from you tipsters out there, even if it's just to say hi.
Or leave an extended expulsion from your butt like Tipster Megan promised.
Sure.
Because you're the one that's going to listen to him.
It's true.
So I don't even know how to get into the number.
No. You're going to be the first one to listen to them because the emails come through to you, baby doll.
Oh, that's right. They're in an email form that I can play them the audio version. Shit. Megan, please don't fart. Please don't fart into the phone.
Oh, go on, Megan. I double dare you.
Oh, God damn it.
Maybe it's...
We do have a couple of amazing emails from Tipster Tess and Tipster Megan on some cases I want to look at that are local cases to them in Australia and Indiana, and I can hardly wait to talk about them because they're fascinating. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Get the plug in there, Producer Mark.
1-832-TIPSTER. That's 1-832-847-7837.
And no butt plugs.
No butt plugs. And thank you for listening. We are about midway through our first season here, and we're very happy that we have you as listeners.
You are right. We are blessed. We are blessed. And more cowbell.
And remember, that's 832-847-7837, 832-TIPSTER, or send an email to jttipsters@gmail.com.